Good day. I'm Ed Walker, the Fire Chief here in Peterborough. And I want to thank you for taking a few minutes to review the presentation on the Peterborough Fire and Rescue Fire Station Facility Design Warrant article. This year at the ballot, Article 13 is fire station design for $200,000 to see if the town will vote to raise and authorize the expenditure of the sum of $200,000 for the development of a conceptual design, preliminary cost estimate, and construction drawings for a new fire station on a town-owned parcel located off of Elm Street. The Select Board recommends this appropriation by a vote of 3-0. The Budget Committee recommends this appropriation by a vote of 8-0. The purpose of this article is to see if we can get funds to do the final design and construction drawings for a new fire station to be located at the municipal campus off of Elm Street. This is adjacent to the DPW garage and the community center. The cost for this design will be shared between the general fund and the ambulance budget. The goal is to have our final design, drawing, and cost ready for funding in fiscal year 2022. If this article does not pass, these documents will not be developed and the fire station project will be delayed. So what does your Peterborough Fire and Rescue Department do? We provide emergency management for the town of Peterborough. We provide fire protection for the towns of Peterborough and Sharon. We provide emergency ambulance service to Peterborough, Dublin, Francistown, Hancock, Sharon, and Temple. We also do emergency and non-emergency transfers out of Monadnock Community Hospital, as well as other facilities in the region. And we are involved in other fire and health prevention activities within our community. During calendar year 2019, the department responded to just over 2,300 calls with the breakdown you see here. 399 of those were fire incidents. 1,042 of them were 911 ambulance calls, and 878 were transfers. The 1,042 ambulance calls includes not only 911 calls to our 6 primary towns, but also mutually to other communities, as well as providing advanced life support service to some of the surrounding ambulances when they did not have paramedics or AEMTs available. Our staffing within the fire side of the department, all the personnel on the fire department, with the exception of myself as the fire chief, are paid on-call individuals. We have 2 call deputy chiefs, a call captain slot, which currently is vacant, 5 call lieutenants, and currently 21 call firefighters. As I said, these folks are all paid on call people. They all have other full-time jobs, other responsibilities, and they respond in to assist the community when the pager goes off. The ambulance side, or ambulance operations, as the full-time chief, I oversee that. We have a full-time deputy chief within the EMS division, a call captain that is currently vacant, call lieutenants, 5 full-time paramedics, and currently 31 per diem or part-time staffing folks. We staff 2 ambulances, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The 5 full-time paramedics we have are relatively new, only having come on in the last couple of years in order to ensure that we were able to maintain the paramedic level coverage that our communities require. So what is our facility design project? Again, just to recap, we're looking to have our final construction plans ready for presentation at town meeting a year from now, which is fiscal 2022. This is really the culmination of over 2 decades worth of studies and discussions around a new fire station. And as we move forward with this project, should this article pass, the community input will be a key factor in that design and other considerations for the building. So our existing building here is located at 16 Summer Street. This building was originally constructed in 1945 as a DPW garage. In 1971, the DPW outgrew it and moved to their present location on Elm Street. The fire station then relocated down here from Main Street after some additions and renovations to the building that I'll get into in a few minutes. The current building is around 7,900 square feet. The original, or really the biggest facility study the town conducted back in 2005, referred to as the Weller and Michael study, recommended the fire station be just over 15,000 square feet. In 2017, the town worked with Warren Street Architects to reevaluate and do a new programmatic study, in which time they determined that the fire station needs were around 18,600, 18,900 square feet. That additional 3,000 or so square feet is really attributed to the fact that now we staff an ambulance service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, have 4 ambulances available for immediate response. When back in 2005, there was no full-time or full day staffing at the station, and we ran a single ambulance. So our spaces in the building, here you have the chief's office, our administrative space. The administrative assistant has the office out front. This office on the administrative assistant also doubles as the receptionist for the building, interacting with the public when they come in. We have a shared office space, 4 cubicles here that are shared by all of our lieutenants and captains. So the 9 lieutenants and 2 captains share this shared space, moving back and forth around the desks. Some of the functions this supports are our ambulance scheduling, our continuous quality improvement program for ambulance reports, fire prevention, our mechanic, as well as all of our other training and administrative functions performed by the line officers. We have our radio room. The radio room is where our fire alarm boxes are received in town. Gives us the ability to communicate with our dispatch center in Keene in times when there are significant incidents going on, such as the ice storms or snowstorms, thunderstorms coming through, as well as planned events like Children in the Arts. We will manage our operations from here to help coordinate the fire and police response within the community. Living space, as I mentioned earlier, we have firefighters that are in this building 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have a day room or living room. This is where they eat their meals. Training is conducted here. Briefings are conducted here. There's a kitchen space, again, cooking our meals for the 24-hour shifts that are here and going on. What you see here is what was originally built as an addition to the DPW garage as our training room. The training room is located in the back room. 2 years ago, when we added a second ambulance 24 hours a day, it really became impractical to have sort of this open dorm space for our employees who were spending the night here. So we constructed 5 dorm rooms, if you will, in this space. So here's an example of one of the dorm rooms. Murphy bed comes down from the wall. The room's about 10 by 10. Just allows a little bit of privacy, a little bit of quiet as one ambulance crew is leaving in the middle of the night. Another ambulance crew might be trying to sleep or coming back from a call. The other crew is sleeping, hoping to get some rest between calls. So we created this space. So we've lost our training and our conference space. Our apparatus space. One of the other additions that was put on in 71 when the fire department moved in here was the addition of a 5th bay or a 5th garage space. As you can see, it's a little crowded in here for our fleet. We have our personal lockers here on the apparatus floor next to the ambulance. Very limited space between the apparatus. Engine 1 is on the left side of this slide. There's a bumper on the post. You can see the lally column so that the door doesn't smack into that when folks are opening it to get into or get out of the apparatus. We have our turnout gear is stored on racks. The boat, water rescue, ice rescue equipment is stored. The shot with here is what we're looking at here is really the lack of clearance or overhead height for the ladder truck that we have in here. It's hard to look, but if you look at the top of this front lally column, this lally column actually started to sink. The footing collapsed under it, and about 10 years ago, they had to excavate the lally column, resupport the roof of the building with some additional joists and some additional weight-bearing members to help hold the roof up on the building. Again, another shot showing our ladder truck and some of the confined space in the little spaces that we have. One of the other problems that we have and would be looked to address with that is a lot of our apparatus and equipment needs to be parked outside due to not having the inside space. You see out back here our new to us bucket truck that we received 2 years ago through funding. That is parked outside. Next to that is car 2. We have a spare ambulance. That spare ambulance is also parked outside in the weather. This can become problematic. I mean, we're not expected to use this ambulance right away, but it is nice to be able to have the benefit of using the ambulance, and having fairly short turnaround time, which can be difficult if it's outside in the cold or the heat, having to get it temperature controlled. Other spaces in the building that really are essential spaces for the fire department and EMS operations. This is our EMS storage room. This is where we store clean supplies, medical supplies that are used in the ambulance. This space here is right off of our apparatus floor. And, you know, although it is a small space, clean space, it is fairly cramped. It is off our apparatus floor, so it's not as clean as it could be. Our mechanic shop, we do a lot of our own mechanic work here for the routine and daily maintenance of the apparatus, if you will. Again, a pretty enclosed or confined area to try to get some work done. Some of the spaces that we're missing here in the building, between 1971, when we moved in here, and a modern fire station now, there are a lot of spaces that have been added that are really critical to safe and efficient operations of the department. One of them is decontamination showers. So if we have folks that get dirty or get contaminated on a call, this gives them the ability to come back and clean off outside of any clean areas or living spaces in the station. A clean room for EMS supplies. In addition to the EMS equipment that you saw, we have other supplies that we have too. We have some spare cots. We have other equipment that really needs someplace clean, secure to be stored for ready operations. Firefighting equipment storage. Right now, we have no place dedicated to storing spare hose, storing spare appliances, nozzles, things like that. Our breathing apparatus, the firefighters use something called a self-contained breathing apparatus, which is the air packs that provide a safe, clean breathing air for emergencies. Our breathing air compressor is on the apparatus floor. If we need to fill bottles, we have to pull the fire trucks out to accommodate that and do that. Clean and ventilated room for turnout gear. You saw the turnout gear stored on the apparatus floor. We have our, and I'll get into this a little more in a minute, but we don't really have an adequate vehicle exhaust capture system. So we have some large air filters in the building that will grab the exhaust when the trucks start up, but they really do not provide for adequate moving of the carcinogens and the other things that come from the diesel fumes out. Adequate computer server space. In 1971, when we moved in here, there really were no computers in the fire service. There really were no computers when the building was built in 1945. So one of the things that we have, one of the shared spaces, is our server space is located in our boiler room, which is not ideal for that. Locker rooms, we have, as you saw, our locker rooms are on the apparatus floor. So this is where folks are keeping their clean changes of clothes if they get contaminated at work, as well as their clean linens for their beds and so forth. Gender-specific bunk areas. Although we have that large room, you know, the large space that we've broken into the 5 smaller rooms, it really does not provide a whole lot of privacy if someone were to get up and have to use the restroom in the middle of the night and moving back and forth. Meeting space or a training room. You know, again, due to our shift in mission and the increased staffing for the ambulance, it really became necessary to have that bunk space that's utilized, you know, every evening of the week. So we gave up our training room. Now we do conduct trainings on the apparatus floor. We have been able to use space, whether it be the townhouse or other facilities in the town, to do that. But having the ability to have our own training and our own meeting space, particularly when it comes to emergency management functions in the town, is really a necessity. And then file storage areas. We don't really have an adequate place to store a lot of files, although, you know, like most businesses, we're moving towards an electronic system. It is nice to have an area where we can have those paper files stored where they're secure and out of the way. Some of the missing systems that we have in the building, an efficient HVAC system. So when this building was designed, it really was not designed with that in mind. So a newer building would give the ability to swap air around, move air, which again would help with life safety and the general cleanliness of the building. Complete backup power. The fire station has a generator. The generator is designed to run critical systems within the building. However, this building is occupied and really needs to run fully in the event of a disaster or an emergency that takes that power down and we lose that. So the new building would have a complete backup system. And then finally, one thing I wanted to mention was an adequate vehicle exhaust management. As we start the diesel trucks and the gas vehicles in the station, they release exhaust into the building. A proper vehicle exhaust system would be what's referred to as a point capture system, where the exhaust is captured directly out of the exhaust pipe filtered and ejected to the outside so that you wouldn't have any of those carcinogens and just the dirt and the soot that comes from that inside of your building. So as we go forward, if you folks have any questions or require additional information about this, the town will have a virtual question and answer session on June 30th at 6 p.m. That'll be available through Facebook Live as well as the town's Ustream channel and on town's cable channel. If you have any questions about this presentation, this article, or any of the other articles that will be on the warrant, please feel free to email questions to administration@peterborough.nh.gov. Call the townhouse at 924-8000, extension 101, or mail to 1 Grove Street in Peterborough, New Hampshire. Please be sure to identify yourself, provide your street address so the questions can be handled and added to the town records, excuse me, as notes would be from a town meeting, and also for proper follow-up. We will be posting all of the questions and answers on a rotating basis as they come into us on the website. And then this is part of the presentation that's being, additional presentations that are being posted, and we will be updating that website daily through July 13th. So please feel free to reach out, any questions regarding this. If you want, we encourage everybody to vote by absentee ballot for the election, which is on the 14th of July. You can get an application for an absentee ballot off our website and submit those. If you do need to vote in person, that voting will be at the community center on July 14th. Again, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.